The Battlefield 2042 gameplay trailer has now been shown to the world, but did you really catch everything that there was to be seen in this short 3-minute long trailer? There's actually a lot more than you might have realized, and I'm going to break it down right now. If you like videos like this, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me decide what videos I'm going to make next. Alright, let's dive in deep. First, we need to talk about the specialists. Right now, we only know about 4 specialists officially, those being McKay, Felk, Boris, and Casper, but in the trailer, we actually see a total of 8 different specialists. First, we have Casper. He's a specialist with a ghillie suit and is seen in several shots, but the player is actually playing as Casper during this sequence with the TG-24 sniper rifle. It's worth noting right away here that any specialist has access to any weapon, so just because a specialist has a sniper rifle doesn't mean they're necessarily part of the recon class anymore. Kind of like how here we have McKay using the sniper rifle, but also his gadget, the grapple gun. After McKay has finished his grapple, you'll also notice that there's a small cooldown indicator in a half arc under the bottom of the crosshair. I believe this is an indicator for when the grapple gun is recharged and can be used again. In this clip, we also see another specialist conveniently performing a dog tag assassination. But who is this? Well, if you recall from the first official reveal trailer, this is Espinoza. In the gameplay trailer, it's revealed that Espinoza's call sign is actually going to be Delta with this player icon. Another interesting thing to note about Delta specifically is that he is seen using a riot shield at one part in the gameplay trailer. Will this be a special gadget? We'll have to wait to find out. Next, let's talk about Felk. We don't see a whole lot from her perspective in the trailer, but with some deductive reasoning, we're able to determine that this is Felk's player icon, and this is Felk reloading the Stim pistol. In a prior scene, we saw the Stim pistol have 12 bullets, and now there are only 6 left. Hard to tell if this will be a single shot, then reload, or if it will hold multiple shots per cartridge. The next specialist has gotten a lot of screen time, but we haven't known his call sign until now. This specialist was the only one that we saw in either the reveal trailer or the gameplay trailer using the wingsuit, which is why I believe that Sundance will be the only specialist able to use the wingsuit, and that the wingsuit will likely be their special gadget. We also see a couple shots of Boris being in the squad, but we unfortunately don't have any gameplay from Boris's perspective. We also have 2 unnamed specialists that appeared in the gameplay trailer, but we don't know their name or call sign yet, as we never saw from their perspective, and they weren't specifically mentioned. We can pretty much conclude though that the female looking specialist is the same as the one seen a couple times in the reveal trailer. She has the visor, black hair, and a ponytail just like the player icon. As for the other specialist, I really wasn't able to find anything on them. It's worth mentioning before we move on from the specialist that this accounts for 8 of the 10 total specialists that will be launching with the game. Oh, and I did also want to note that it looks like you can have maybe up to 2 of the same specialist in your squad, as there are several clips where there are 2 of the same specialist in the squad. Let's briefly touch on the attachment swapping scene. First, let's just pause for a second to acknowledge that yes, there will be map interactions with things like elevators to get to the top of skyscrapers, as has been the case in prior Battlefield games. But let's talk about this attachment swapping thing. For at least the primary weapon, you'll be able to swap out optics, stocks, grips, and muzzles on the fly. Now, I know some people are apprehensive about this, but I like how this makes the game more dynamic and adds an additional level of customization that can kind of be modified depending on the scenario you find yourself in. Anyway, let's move on to vehicles, as they're going to be a big part of the game as well. First, I wanted to point out that awesome scene in the Condor, but did you also notice that this thing has 6 total seats in it? That's a whole squad and a half that you could ferry around. There are also 4 seats in the M1A5 tank, which I believe only used to be 2 in Battlefield 4. We see a tank get called in during 2 different scenes via some kind of jet-assisted parachute delivery system, and it's my understanding that any specialist is able to call in vehicles around the map. It's also evident that you'll be able to alternate between fire modes just like in Battlefield 4, and will likely have vehicle upgrade perks that you can choose as part of your specific vehicle's loadout. Since we're talking about the heads-up display, let me just say that it looks very clean and minimal. Also, we see that Conquest Capture Zones show which one you're currently in, as well as which ones your team controls versus the enemy team. We also see this call out of where you are on the map being displayed. Obviously, we've got the number of tickets, and then you also have your primary, secondary specialist ability at Gadget 1 and Gadget 2. It also shows your squad and a picture of their specialist, as well as their health bar and who the squad leader is. It's also interesting too that the HUD gets all glitchy when you're near the tornado. I noticed that at one point the specialists put their hand up to shield themselves from the tornado. I'm curious if this is meant to be an indicator that you're only able to hip fire when near a tornado, as your character will put one hand up to shield themselves from the wind and debris. There are also some more interesting things I noticed in the gameplay trailer, such as this deployable cover being used during the gunfight. I'm wondering if that's going to be a specialist only gadget, and I'm curious which specialist that will belong to. We also see the dust storm approaching, engulfing parts of the map, but the gameplay also switches from sunny skies to that dust storm look everywhere, so I'm curious if this engulfs the whole map or just parts of it, and if that's random or some kind of triggered event. The tornadoes obviously can pick up vehicles, as we see a helicopter getting sucked in here, and an ATV fall from the sky at a very high speed. There's someone driving a civilian pickup truck here near the rocket, which makes me wonder if there will be other civilian-like vehicles to drive around on the map. And in the same scene, we also see a jet hovering in place and what looks like an anti-aircraft upgraded tank on the left. When aiming down sights, we also see the compass pop up at the bottom of the screen for directional callouts, and this HUD icon changes from the plus sign to the bullet symbol while ADS. I'm not sure if this is the passive in work here or what's going on. Let me know what your thoughts are on this down in the comments. I also noticed that when enemies were present in many of the scenes, they weren't showing up frequently on the minimap when they were shooting. This went for enemy vehicles as well. I assume that for an enemy to show up on the minimap, they will either need to be spotted via player ping or some kind of spotting scope or gadget. This makes me think that silencers may not be as relevant if you won't show up on the minimap without a silencer anyway. We also catch a glimpse of a car zooming off a roof in classic Battlefield style, and this poor bird stuck in the middle of a dust storm and tornado. Let me know what your thoughts are on this stuff in the comments section below, and if you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We've got way more Battlefield content on the way. Have a good one.